Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime. We come back here and we talk about it, and today is the first episode that we're going to be talking about Odd Taxi. We picked it out of the box. If this is your first time watching, we have a ton of anime that are on the list that we get to pick from that are our submissions or user submission or people from the community that have given us 500 bits to put their favorite anime in the chest. And I'm so lucky because this was my pick from a long time ago. We're watching Odd Taxi. We're going to be talking about it episode 1 through 4 on this episode. And I'm not here in the Odd Taxi alone. I am here next to Matt Galley, my co-host. Matt, how are you doing?
Warm. I'm feeling warm. How am I doing? Doing good.
I don't even know if you were there, but on Monday I got sunburn.
Oh,
I'm dark. I don't get sunburn, and I got sunburn in my arm that still hurts. So
yikes.
I feel you for sure.
Feeling yet?
It's getting there. It's my first time getting sunburn. I'm like, ow, this sucks. I don't like this. Why does everybody else get this? But
I remember the first time getting a really bad sunburn, and I thought I would never stop peeling. I was like, this is just never gonna end.
It's getting there this weekend. It's gonna happen, but I'm super excited because it's the first time we're talking about Odd Taxi, episode 1 through 4, and I don't know anything about it. Matt hasn't seen it. I haven't seen it. The only thing I knew about it was there were some people that I looked at and they said this is a great anime, that more people should watch this. They really enjoyed it. And I think it got a season 2 not too long ago. So I was like, you know what, let's throw it in there. And we're finally getting around to it. And it's interesting. To say the least, I guess, before we dive into it, there's so much going on. And I kind of want to talk more about it after we talk through episode 1. Episode 1, the eccentric driver. How does this go down in the inaugural episode?
So yeah, in episode 1, we meet Otokawa, a taxi driver who goes about his night operating his cab. He listens to a lot of the radio, just listening to what's going on as he drives around. He has a passing conversation with a customer over the concept of going viral on the internet before being pulled over for a traffic stop where he's questioned by one of the officers. Otokawa pays a visit to his doctor, Goriki, a visit where he is told he should get married, as well as he also gets a stronger prescription. The same officer from the night before waits for Otokawa outside the clinic and seizes his dash cam footage. Later at a ramen bar, Kakihana, one of Otokawa's friends, and Goriki converse over Damon, the officer, implicating Otokawa in an active missing persons case before Goriki receives a phone call that medicine is missing from his clinic. And that's where episode 1 leaves us, in kind of a there's also this like little bit where Otokawa's at his house and he is kind of talking to his closet. And we never like reveals if there is anybody in there or not, but he's pretty he's like actively having a conversation without being responded to.
Sure.
From what we see.
So before getting into like the story beats and stuff, looking at this whole episode as a whole, I like the intro music. The intro music's really cute. It's a different kind of animation.
I like the intro music, but it didn't set me up for the story that we received in this first episode. And like I don't know if I like that, but you know, I like them both independently.
I was singing it. It was like super happy-go-lucky,
like
really
chill. The little cat's like hanging out there next to him in the cab, and like, you know, it's showing all these little characters and they're all running around, and I'm like, oh, this seems like it's going to be so lighthearted, low conflict, low stakes, and then it starts off with what looks like a body being dumped in the river.
Yeah, which is right here. That's how the first episode starts off. So I do want to talk about the cab because we see all the little characters from the show. Like we see all the characters, the main players that we get introduced later on, and maybe in this episode or in the next coming 4. But he has a cat there that's in there for a couple of scenes. And now the girl, spoiler, I guess, going on to the later episodes, the girl that we know is missing is a cat as well, is a cat girl as well. So I don't know if that's sort of like a play on he's actually talking to her or he has her behind the his closet, or if that's just sort of a red herring. But it's really interesting anyways, because it's just this little cat there, but then everybody else is, what is it, anthropomorphic animals as they are. But uh
I mean, you also have like the later on the scene with the kid getting the bird.
yeah, which is episode 4.
Yeah, like yeah, it always confuses me when it's like anthropomorphic animals
But they have
and then they
pets.
have pets.
Yeah, which is
I guess
really
it's not as weird as if they had like little humans as pets or
okay, yeah.
something.
But then there's also like so many calls to real life people. They do this
Yeah,
whole discussion in the doctor's office with his doctor
about
about
Bruce
Bruce Springsteen
Springsteen.
and about the song We Are the World.
Yeah.
And they're all using cell phones.
Uh-huh.
Um so they're all doing normal human things, but they're animals. And I'm assuming these, like Bruce Springsteen, Janis Joplin, who they mentioned before, are animals as well in this
Mhm.
universe. We don't know. They could.
But
We haven't
like
seen a
and
human yet.
yeah, we haven't seen a human yet, and it makes me like a show like I don't know if you're familiar with Beastars,
Uh,
but Beastars uses the concept of making anthropomorphic animals and uses that uh for the themes that the story is trying to work with, where
sure.
you know the nature versus nurture and stuff like that,
Hmm.
where now they're animals, so you have the more predatory animals, they kind of yada yada yada. You don't
I
get any of that in this show.
yeah, I was gonna
So
say I don't
it
know if
makes
they're
me
gonna.
wonder why the artistic choice was taken to tell the story with animals instead of people, when it's a
Mhm.
very human story and very human themes and things that are going on.
And we might find out by the end
We
of
might
the
find out, yeah.
first season. There
But at
might be
least so
something to
far
it.
that like you take the animals out and you put people in, and I don't think anything changes so far.
No, uh, no, it's all just the same. They're just
But yeah, Beastars, even
cute.
Zootopia, you change that, and the overall like story will change.
Sure.
But I don't think that's to be said here. Which like I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a thing.
Yeah, which is interesting. Which I hope. I don't know. Maybe it'll come up later that some are more strong because of their thing, or maybe they have certain emotional connections because they are a certain species or whatever of animal. I don't know. But as a first episode, we were kind of talking about it before, but I want to give you my take. It started off slower than a lot of the anime we watch on this show. It started off a lot more conversation based, which is interesting, which is
Mhm.
good. I really like that. And it started off more character driven. There wasn't any action
Yeah.
really. Like there wasn't fighting or anything. I don't think there's going to be any fighting. But like as a show, first episode, it gave me a little bit. And to some people that might have been like not enough
Hmm.
to where they're like, oh, okay, this is kind of boring, maybe because they're just talking.
Yeah.
But to me, the flip side of that is that they don't give you enough. They don't give you a lot, but they have a lot of room to grow.
Hmm.
And that's where I think some other anime might have started off wrong because they gave you way too much. And it was like, oh, I have such high expectations. And then they fall off to where I think this is going to grow into something that I'm going to
And
really enjoy. So I'm hopeful.
yes, where this show picks up and where it leaves off at the where we'll be at the end of the show, I'm at two very different places where yeah, we start off and I'm like very lukewarm and almost on guard because it's very slow paced, and like I just don't want I want to be paying attention, but the more I'm paying attention and not just like easing into a show and stuff, it puts me on this weird guard where I feel like I'm not going to end up liking it. Whatever. But for this show, as I'm sitting here and it's just giving you those little bits, like piece after piece, everything is like you said, it's growing. Everything is building from the very first, to me, everything builds from the very first shot you see. Again, this like body being dumped in the river, this like missing persons case that you're hearing, your Otokawa's driving through the city and you're just listening to the radio with him, and that's all the show is doing for a little bit. There's not even any actual dialogue from our main character. And again, it puts me on guard where it's just like I'm like, when's the show gonna start? When's
Yeah.
the show gonna start? But I'm like reading, I'm with the show, and then it starts to get into the conversation with the guy in the cab. I'm like, okay, like
Because there
it's
is
starting to,
many
yeah,
there's many times in the show where there's long instances of something, but you don't know if it's important or not, or if it's just something to, and like I think about it like why are they spending so much time with the guys on the radio?
yeah.
In this episode there was a lot of talk of these two comedian guys trying
Mhm.
to be comedians, and they're just talking about whatever, and they're
Yeah.
just shooting the shit, and they're on the
Yeah,
live
they're kind of
airwaves.
riffing, but they're also like touching a little bit on like the missing persons case. And even right from the get-go, you get this sense that one of these guys has a little bit less tact than the other. That's just
Hmm.
kind of what you get at first. And that's all the show. It doesn't really build much on it. But one of the guy like when one of the guys maybe starts to get like a little controversial, the other guy's like, all right, let's cut to the next bit. Let's cut to the next
Yeah.
thing. Like, moving on, moving on. Let's keep the
Hmm.
ball rolling. So you get that even from that little first part.
And they give you a lot of it, and I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
In this episode, in this anime, in the first 4 episodes, sometimes I was just like, what are we doing here? But like in an intrigued way, like
Yeah.
what is this trying to tell? Because I'm so used to shows, this is 13 episodes in the first season. They're giving me time, on this one thing, but like, what does it mean? And what am I supposed to get as an audience member from this? And I don't know. I don't have the answer yet. And hopefully I do, but it intrigues me enough to where I want to keep going, because we get the whole conversation about the guys on the radio.
Mhm.
We get the crooked cop, sort
Mhm.
of the two brother cops. They took the thing here, the SD
Big Damon
card,
and Little Damon.
Big Damon, Little Damon. They gave it to, well, they're not in on each other.
Mhm.
Which one's the Big Damon, right?
Big Damon's like the one that tells Little Damon, "Hey, you can't trust taxi drivers."
Yeah,
Like
but
Big Damon's up to something. And at
yeah,
the end of the is that the end of the
yeah.
first
At the end of
episode?
the episode, that's how it goes. Where he gives it to Dobu.
Yes.
He gives the SD card to Dobu, and that's when I initially was like, oh,
Yeah.
here's
Just
something.
that right there is enough, like not enough. It already was enough in my opinion, but that right there was like the spice that was just like, "Oh, okay. What's going on? Like
Yeah,
what's going on here?"
because there's these secret dealings here. We got enough in the photo, like you were saying before the show,
Mhm.
when the photo was going viral of him and the kid, where he was trying to make some viral moment. There was a lot of time on that too. Like,
Mhm.
what are we following this hippo kid? What's this about? And why do we go back to him later in another episode? I'm like,
Yeah.
how are these connected? What is he gonna do down the road?
Yeah.
But we get this photo, and it shows that Dobu's in the back, and it's like, oh, these are connected. And the cool part about the show is that they don't explain everything to you, and they don't hold your hand, which again could be off-putting for a lot of people, but for me, when I'm looking for stuff, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
what is that? Oh, it's connected. Oh, they're in the same city. It seems like the city's so small because everybody knows each other. And in this episode, it's just so interesting how characters go off of each other, and how we're going to see these characters interact later for happenstance or fate or whatever. It's just really cool. So this first
Yeah.
episode was
It's
enough.
like where with you saying that it doesn't explain everything. Like that hit me when Kakihana and Goriki were like, "Oh, Damon was telling us the other night that this was going on with Otokawa." And that's when you get the sense that like, "Oh yeah, all of these people like they know each other. This is like a community.
Hmm.
This is like the common the usuals. This is oh, Norm,
Yeah,
like the
because
so
they have a bar they go to.
of course the cop knew where to find Otokawa if his car isn't at his house, where or his taxi isn't at his house, where's one of the places he could be if he's not on shift, at his doctor's office. I know Goriki. I was just talking to him the other night about Otokawa because he's standing outside of the clinic's office, and I'm like, how does he know that he's there? This is just
Yeah,
some cop and some taxi driver, and then it like later on the show implicates that yeah they all know each other. It's like, well, yeah, of course they do.
yeah,
I should have known that.
something's happening.
But it never says that, you know, he never when the first time they pull up for the traffic stop, it's not, "Oh, yo, what's up, little Big Damon? Like, how you doing?" It's they seem like it's some what's the word for it? Just
Normal.
normal traffic stop, other than the little bit of him going like, "Have you seen this guy?"
Yeah.
But yeah,
Routine.
it all seems routine. Yeah.
Yeah, which
So
is really interesting
it's really interesting.
to have all these characters seem like a routine.
It's a very, very interesting way to present the first episode for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was a lot going on in that first episode. We find out as well that the nurse is the only alpaca in the city,
Yeah.
which has meaning,
Throwaway
might
lines.
not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked up the meaning of a rakugo because I didn't know what it meant because they were talking about it for a little while. They were talking
When
about,
was
hey, do
that?
you listen? They were talking to the doctor's office, like, hey, do
Oh,
you
yeah, yeah.
listen to
Okay.
so and so's rakugo? It's like, yeah, I listen in the morning, but it means literally means fallen words, and is a type of verbal entertainment in Japan. So I think that's what those two guys on the radio are doing or trying to do. But there's never one more performer on stage, but he or she takes on the role of all the characters in the story by themselves. I don't know what that means.
Ah,
Um,
that sounds like a, you know, like a that would be a one-man show then, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's sort of like that. So I don't know if that's going to come up later or not. I looked it up because I didn't know what it was. So, and then it ends with the Big Damon giving the monkey Dobu the SD card from the
Do we
taxi,
get
which makes it all
Dobu's
interesting.
name anywhere? When
Not on this one,
Okay.
but on episode 3 or something.
Okay.
But that's what I know his name from. Episode 2, How to Spend a Long Night. What happened in this one?
Okay. So episode 2, this is when the show kind of opens up and just starts to take us through different, like almost like little skits, vignettes almost,
Sure.
where first we get the Otokawa and Kakihana talking in a sauna, and Otokawa recounts him taking Maru, Miho. Her name's Miho.
Who?
The alpaca.
Shirakawa. Well, I just remember her
Miho
last name.
Shirakawa.
Yeah.
So Otokawa takes Miho home, and then she like reveals to him that she has a crush on him in a very funny way, where he was just
Yeah,
staring
looking
at
at
the phone
looking at himself.
screen. So that
Which was
happens.
cute. It was pretty
Yeah,
cute.
it was pretty cute. But it was just his reaction, his non-reaction just got me. I was like laughing.
Yeah.
So the single guy, Kakihana, then tries to give Otokawa advice, which he doesn't really receive well because it's a single guy trying to give him advice.
Mm-hmm.
Kakihana may be getting catfished on his Tinder. That might be happening. And then we swap over to this idol group, Mystery Kiss, at their
Mm-hmm.
debut, where one of the longtime fans meets up and they get to take a photo. Mystery Kiss is manager. That's Mystery Kiss's manager.
Mm-hmm.
Sends the backup dancers out to sell merch, where they talk about how, you know, their position's unfair. They don't really have as much drive or as much
Drawing power.
drawing power. They don't have as much self-confidence as the lead, and so this is the position that they get stuck in. The fan that was there at the show, Imai, gets into Otokawa's cab, where Otokawa recounts being in a really bad accident but surviving, before Imai runs off without paying his full tab.
Yeah.
The Homo sapiens, which are the guys that we've heard on the radio talk plenty, they get in Otokawa's cab as well and have a professionals discussion in the taxi, before one of them gets a call hearing that they received a new job to be live on television, but only one of them got the offer.
Mm-hmm.
After dropping them off, then we get a new passenger stepping into Otokawa's car. Give me his name one more time.
Dobu.
So we get Dobu introducing himself to Otokawa with the barrel of his gun, and then we get the information
Miho.
that Miho, yeah, is waiting for Otokawa at the park. It's like all of these little vignettes just kind of like boom, 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 boom.
And I don't know how to feel because is it like a slice of life? Is it what or is the odd taxi the crux of it all, or are we following Otokawa? Because they give us so many other little characters and little sneak peeks that I'm building out this world, which is really cool because we get the whole the whole vignette of her sweeping Otokawa off his feet, not really,
Hmm.
here with the little photo thing, and then we get Kakihana friendship with him, how he's like the eternal bachelor. We get more information on him and how he thinks because he changed his monetary status
Yeah,
on his Tinder to further try and pick up somebody, and he picked up an
yeah,
18-year-old. So here we are.
yeah.
That's who he is. That's the kind of person he is. A
Because that,
41 year
like
old.
in the episode before, that when they're talking about like love and stuff, the person running the ramen bar, I am missing her name, but she was like, yeah, of course, the somebody's the ability and their skills is reflective of how much money they make. Of course, it's important. And he's sitting there like, oh, this is unfair. Like money's so important and stuff.
And the way he was like, "Would you date?" She's like, "No, no, no,
Yeah,
stop. What are
yeah,
you doing?" I like we haven't talked about like the way the conversation flows in this anime, which is really an interesting way to do it because Otokawa is super straight faced, super non emotional most of the time, and he kind of just delivers these lines with no facial changes or anything. But during these conversations, it's really interesting because we have characters cutting each other off a little bit sometimes whenever the emotions go or they're like an actual conversation like me and you here. We cut each other, we have a thing to say, we go for it, and it feels more relaxed than any other anime that I've had.
yeah,
It's not like a I'm going to say this and then I'm going to say this other thing and then this other thing. It feels like an actual flow, ebb and flow, where these characters are living, and
yeah.
it feels more human than uh other anime. It feels like they're in the same room. If two people are having a conversation, they're in the same room and they're recording at the same time. That's what I got.
For me, the most real moment of that was when the Homo sapiens are in the back of the cab,
Sure.
and he one of them says, "I can play with our fans this way. What's wrong with that?" And the other
Yeah.
guy's like, "You should be using that time to write jokes." And the other guy's like, "But this is so much fun." And like he
Yeah.
immediately just replies with that. It's like, "No, this is fun. Like
Yeah.
I'm spending my free time having fun."
But then also, yeah, so that, and then also the game that he's playing ties into the episode 4 which we saw.
Yeah.
So
Which also like kind of ties into episode 1 and the whole concept of like, going viral online, yada yada. What do people care about? And this is something that people spend their time online doing. They're looking at the leaderboards, they're comparing themselves to other people, their friends and stuff that also play the game. He's playing with the fans that want to play with him because he uploaded his photo and stuff, and like why does he have fans? Because he's got a show, and everything kind of is growing off each other, like you were saying
and
before. And I love that.
it doesn't tell you that. It doesn't say it. It
Yeah,
doesn't say it explicitly. It shows you it later,
yeah.
which is really cool.
It
Um
shows you it later, and even when it's showing it to you, it doesn't really say like, "Oh, hey, remember this? Like we showed you this earlier." It's just like, "This is somebody else's experience with this." Like, were you even paying
sure.
attention to the two in the cab when they had that one little riff about the game that he was playing?
Mhm.
And oh, I want to say that Zuden gets brought up in the first episode at some point, but I can't remember for sure.
I'm not sure, but in the first episode, there are people watching Mystery Kiss,
That's right.
which
Mystery
is
Kiss is
so
shows up in the first episode, and they
yeah,
play their song on the radio.
on the radio, they're showing on TV, I think at the bar they hang out or whatever,
Yeah,
and everybody's about this Mystery Kiss, and then here it is, and then we get that storyline. So, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it how are these all gonna connect? Because so far, they do connect because they get into the taxi. Is that the thing? Or is it gonna be some event later on? Is it the girl that's missing? Is it the person that's in Otokawa's closet or something?
yeah,
Maybe.
that's what I mean. That's
Um,
still a whole nother like separate thing that we don't really have anything on. And I hope they don't treat it like the closet situation in another show that we know.
Yikes. Hope
Like,
we find
this
that out.
better be addressed.
Sure. This better be said at some point. But it's really cool. I mean, we get so many little characters, we get so many different things. We get the leader of Mystery Kiss acting one way in front of her fan, then another way with her manager.
Which
So
is
we kind of see
real, like,
that.
of course. Like,
Mhm.
it's just one of those things where it's like, she, like, they do it so subtly where in backstage, she's dressed in all black, and, yeah, she's acting
She's
differently,
just there.
yeah, she's just kind of there existing, exactly, where
Mhm.
when she's out
On.
there in front of her fans, in front of her audience, of course, she's putting on a show.
Mhm. And even like Otakawa's input on the Homo sapiens, like you should be better or whatever. Like those little things.
Like, you both don't really seem like to be on the same page, or you both don't
Yeah.
seem to have as much dedication as each other.
And y'all should
Uh,
stop or something like
yeah.
that.
And
You should
then one
stop.
of them starts giving him a, like, the hard time, and then he's like, "No, that's funny. See, you're acting funny now that you're cornered."
Yeah.
He's
And
like,
then
Don't you stop it."
he starts ridiculing more so
Yeah,
that he can get the funny out of him.
yeah. And then you
That
have the phone call where it's like, "Oh, I got a job and you didn't."
sure. Otakawa's input on that, Otakawa's talk with the overenthused fan in the thing. We get a lot of play off of Otakawa, who
Yeah.
is the crux of this show. But like, how far is he the good guy? Like, we're following him, but so far he's been kind of emotionless
Mhm.
until we get Dobu in the back with the gun pointed at him. So that's kind of where we leave off on episode 2. So episode 3, beware of borrowed plumes.
So
What happens there?
Otokawa, under duress, um, has a conversation with Dobu. Dobu, while doing this, threatens Otokawa. So Otokawa turns on his SOS signal. Dobu explains that he doesn't want Otokawa to tell anyone that Dobu has the dash cam data that Damon passed off to him, because Dobu doesn't want his boss to find out. And if anyone comes looking for the dash cam footage, Dobu wants Otokawa to let Dobu know. Dobu refuses, knowing that the cops are going to come soon because of his little SOS signal. However, Big Damon is the one that ends up showing up and doesn't help Otokawa out of this mix. And Big Damon also recalls a startling memory that seems to involve some kind of accident.
Sure.
Otokawa agrees to help Dobu out after he threatens Miho. And then Otokawa rushes to the park to meet up with Miho, where they kind of just spend the night talking and vibing.
Kakihana.
Thank you. Sorry. Kakihana and Otokawa meet up later at the bar, where Kakihana tries to show off the girl that he's talking to, but Otokawa kind of checks him, like, not that he's getting catfished, but are you sure that things are right? And then Otokawa finds out he inflated all of his he's given the wrong stat sheet on his
Sure.
Tinder. They both take off, and Otokawa gets a call from Miho saying that his doctor Goriki has gone missing. And then we also get to see that Kakihana has run off to meet up with his his gold digger Tinder match.
Sure.
Because as they go off into the night with intentions to get some tea, we see that they are being followed by Mystery Kiss's manager and another shifty looking character.
Which I'm assuming the girl that he met up with is one of the girls in Mystery Kiss.
Yeah, that was
like
the girl with the red mask.
There
sure.
it is.
Yeah.
Like there it is.
Yeah.
Which is interesting
Which
in
it's
its
it's
own
it's
right.
hard to tell at first because of the mask, but when she's standing there, immediately I was like, "Oh yeah, that's her."
S- So many things, man. Um, the cool thing they started off this episode with was the one-sided conversation that Kakihana was having with the boss, I guess.
Dude.
I don't get his name. I forgot his name. I think they just call him boss. But the cool part that was so interesting because Kakihana thought he was having the conversation with him,
Yeah.
and it turns out he was on the phone. And then later on, we see that side of the conversation too because of what Dobu does, and it's like the same conversation but from his perspective. And then we see Kakihana in the back. That was so cool. I really like that.
It was really cool. It was really cool, and
It,
I did like it a lot. Simultaneously, something in my brain is just saying, like, did we have to see the whole
the
first
full
part of
thing.
that? Yeah.
No,
Like, play out? Like, no, but they did it for the bit, and I think it was better for it.
and so that Kakihana knows
Yeah.
because he mentioned Otakawa and he knows Otakawa's in trouble or something like that. He knows something
Some's fishy, yeah.
that he might be associated with the high school girl that's missing. So it did give information of that to Kakihana. But did they need to do the whole thing? No, but it was funny seeing
It was
Kakihana on the
funny, yeah.
second time just
Yes.
reacting in the back, and we know what he's saying.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. But we find out that it is the girl that's missing is Don Chan's daughter. Um,
Don't know who Don Chan is yet,
don't know who Don Chan is,
but
but the
when
boss says that he may be the reason she ran away. And the theory that me and Kaylin kind of came about was that she's the daughter of somebody really rich or important or
yeah,
something like that. And they were trying to get at him by getting her or something like there's something there. So I think Don Chan is important in some way, and the boss
Udon,
tried to do it, tried to
like
do something.
Yakuza head or something like that.
Yes, something like that. We also see Big Damon just kind of brush this off. I mean, this whole Dobu thing should have been this is the missing person. This is a criminal here in the back of the car. Take him
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
Otakawa was like, "What the hell?" And then he's like, "Just stop, chill."
yeah. Hey,
And
turn
then
off your SOS.
yeah, and then he
You're gonna
quiets his
confuse me.
brother.
Yeah, and yeah,
Wow.
he goes back to his brother, and his brother's like, "Hey, is everything okay? I thought I heard them saying there's like a gun." It's like, what did I tell you about taxi cab drivers? You're right.
So
God damn those taxi cab
yeah.
drivers. Like, what's
Hello,
going on
Claire.
with
Hello,
that? And
Bubsy.
then
Hello,
what's
Cosmo.
going on? Do you think so? This is me now. We get Otokawa in the first episode, second episode, talking about how he was in a really bad accident, but he survived, and that's why he's lucky. And then we get in this episode Big Damon having like 1,000-yard stare moment that flashes to what looks like something like an accident that just happened.
Which looks like similar to Otakawa's flashback.
The like vibes were similar, but it was like two different events that we're looking at, but it was definitely two accidents, but it wasn't the same image is what I'm saying.
I think it was one, and they had a part to play. So Otakawa might feel like he owes Big Damon or the other way around. I think there's something there. Somebody saved somebody, and I think it's connected. They're both flashbacks that happened that looked in the same color.
Yeah.
They looked in the same
It was like the
hue.
same color, the same style and everything, yeah, but it was just two different images.
Mhm.
Where one of them you see an ambulance and one of them you just see the cars, I think.
Mhm. So I
Or
think there was
something
something there with his mother, something like that when he was younger. I don't know. Claire says Don Chan sounds like some mafia guy's cute daughter. No, Don Chan's the guy, but he is probably a
close
mafia
enough.
guy, something like that. Man. So Dobu gets Otokawa
Mhm,
to sort of do it because he threatens Mei
mhm.
Shirakawa. Um, and he just says, "Yeah, we have a deal. Here we go." And as he's speeding off, as Otakawa is speeding off, he nearly kills this kid
Yeah,
or almost beams him there because this kid is going crazy
yeah,
in the middle of the road. And it was
yeah,
like, oh, they said Big Dodo on his phone. He almost drops his. I thought he almost dropped his phone. Whatever, and we get the end of that, and I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of crazy. Whatever, whatever. And then we find out later this whole thing in episode 4, but it's so interesting. It's all wrapped together, but I want to know. There's so many questions here. Why are we doing this? What is it going to culminate to? Because again, the whole connection with Otakawa's friend, Kakihana, he now has a connection to one of the Mystery Kiss members,
Yep.
and they're going to go on a date. Who knows if she has real intentions here or she just saw the money, because that's kind of what they were saying.
It's like how she was her and the other backup dancer were both asked to sell their merch outside the building because they don't pull sales as much as the lead. So maybe this is her way of trying to now make more money, is to extort. Because if Kakihana said that, and it also shows his Tinder page, and I think it like even notates it, but he said him and Otakawa went to school together, meaning him and Otakawa are the same age, and Otakawa says he's 41. So he's some 41-year-old guy that's trying to.
Says,
Yep, there
it says 41 on his
41
profile.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to date some 18-year-old child.
Little cat
That's
girl.
what Otakawa even tells him. He's like, that's a child.
Yeah.
Sir.
And he's like, but I got a match on Tinder. We're gonna meet.
But look at us. Where is she? We message each other all the time. Look, she sent me a sign.
She's a kid, bro.
Literally a child. So she's gonna extort older guys for money.
Yeah.
Which they're gonna try to rob him. Then he's not gonna have money anyways.
I don't know. So that whole connection, because we saw Mystery Kiss before, and then they kind of bring it in. It's like, oh, they don't tell us, but they're like, oh, you remember this girl? She had a mask on. Now she's here. And they bring all these other little characters together, and it's so good. It's so good. It feels like such a small town because of all these characters. I mean, even Big Damon pulling him over. It's like, oh, of course, it was them two. They pulled him over, and we already seen his kind of morality in the past. So it's here we go, and we get some more movement to the main story, but also some like other side story, which Kakihana might be in trouble. I don't know. They could, like you said, they might try and beat him up for money or something. And we find out there's gonna be some other people looking into Otakawa's taxi because of this missing girl. What does that have to do with anything? And we don't even know if Otakawa did pick her up. It's been said by everybody. It hasn't been said by Otakawa. We didn't see anything on the videotape from his taxi. And Dobu even says, like, oh, it's not a problem. What does that mean? Is she on there or is she not? Like, what is this? What's happening? We don't know the full story. It's giving us just enough while connecting other little stories and other characters we already seen
to hopefully then give us the answer that we want in a more satisfying way.
Sure. And then they throw this whole other wrench into it because in episode 4, Tanaka's revolution changes the whole script, which now after episode 4, after episode 1, let me say this, after episode 1, like we talked about, I was like, okay, it's giving us just enough. I'm like, okay, other people would say this anime is boring. And I was like, I get it. If you would say like, I don't want to watch this after episode 1, there wasn't enough for me. It's not action. It's not whatever. I'm like, okay, that's cool. After episode 4, I'm in because they follow this character, Tanaka, in episode 4, Tanaka's revolution. And it blew my mind. And I love this episode. So what happened in episode 4 of Odd Taxi? So the character we saw that almost got run over
in the previous episode, the episode opens up with him manically running down the street where he becomes the narrator of the show. And the show has not had a narrator thus far. No. So he becomes our omniscient narrator.
Oh my God.
And he takes us back to 4 years ago where he's working at a video game company having to play games for testing. But then he's like, no. We have to go back even further to when I was in elementary school. And basically, Pogs were a thing. So Pogs become a thing, but for him, it's erasers. So erasers are like a fad, collecting erasers. But actually, erasers aren't a fad. Everything was standardized, and there were the popular kids and there were the athletic kids, yada yada. So the popular kids were all that, but anybody that didn't have anything, there was a loophole with erasers. And actually, it wasn't anybody and everybody. It was just him and this one other kid in his class.
Yeah.
He just keeps on digging himself.
Yeah, because he
Um,
says, well, actually, that was a lie.
yeah, he
And he
keeps
keeps
saying, "Well,
lying to
actually, that was a
us.
lie." He keeps lying to us. So there's this whole thing going on with erasers in his class, and then there's this whole thing going on with him being very crazy about birds to the point where he reads encyclopedias about birds over and over again. So he bugs his dad one day to buy him a bird, and his dad does. One day he's online. He spots a super rare one of a kind eraser that he thinks this is it. If there's only one of these on the planet, if I have this, me and my rivals eraser war will be concluded. He
Over.
gets in a bidding war with somebody after stealing his parents' credit card and proceeds to bid way more than he probably should have on a simple eraser, on a little eraser. About a month passes and the eraser never shows up. His father receives the credit card statement and he gets beaten pretty badly.
Hmm.
So that's where he leaves us in his childhood with his broken child self. Time goes forward and he's back working at this video game company. And one day he downloads this little zoo game called Zooden. He starts to put money into the game and then notices that there's a little dodo in the game that's super rare. And the dodo is just like the dodo eraser that he had. So he's on a quest to get the dodo.
Classic gotcha game.
Then he notices the same person or the same like a set of words that
Username.
bidded against him. Yeah, the same username that bid against him in that bidding war when he was
No,
a
that's
kid.
sold.
That
That's so
sold.
yeah, so that was the same name that
Sorry,
sold him the eraser
that
that
sold him
never
the
came.
eraser, and it never came. Yes, that's right. Sorry. So he sees that guy number one on the Zuden leaderboards and says, "Now it's my job to beat this guy. This has been fate. The dodo's there. This guy's number one. This game has become my life." One unassuming day while walking home, he gets his dodo. The dodo appears on his screen, but then he drops his phone due to some taxi driver manically driving around, almost hitting him, tossing his phone in the gutter. He has to take his phone to a repair shop, and when it gets fixed, the dodo is gone. He goes home, and his cockatiel bird that his dad bought him is dead. He goes to the park to bury his bird, where he finds the gun that Dobu buried after threatening Otokawa.
Otokawa.
And now he wanders the streets with this gun in tow, looking for Otokawa because, as he says, he's used to chasing odds far more mind-boggling. And then, just like a premonition, he finds Otokawa driving right past him.
This was gold. I
So
loved
good.
every minute of this because this is classic, like, I don't know if y'all are into comics, but it's classic like One Bad Day. Like there's a story in the Batman universe where they give some form of how the Joker became the Joker. And it says that anybody can have this bad day, have
Yeah.
such a bad day that they turn and they go insane or something like that. And they have such downtrodden things happen to them that they turn into something monster,
But
something
for
like to a
him,
monster.
it was what does he say? It's like not 16, like 10 years in the making. Like for him, like he's like you could chalk it up to one bad day, but for him, he's like, no, we gotta take it back.
We got to
No,
go back.
we gotta go back.
Yeah.
And then at one point he's talking about my present self will save my child self.
Yes. And
So
it's
like,
so
and
good.
then it's all good. It's loving, like love all of it. And then yeah, the breaking point happens where it's like, I've been put down for so long, and then I came so close. And then it was ripped away from me.
Kaylee says the fact that animals have pets in this anime concerns me a little bit. Reminds me of Mickey Mouse having a dog, but also having a friend who's a dog. Yeah, it's a little odd.
Pluto.
I don't talk about Pluto. We don't talk about Pluto. So we get this whole story. I'm like, again, like in the first or couple episodes, I was like, what are we doing here? Because it follows this whole character. Like you said, we never had a narrator. We have a narrator now. This whole thing, and we follow this eraser story. What?
Oh, sorry.
Claire says, I can see it. Just one bad day. Imagine binge watching The Duke of Death and his mate. Yes, actually, that would turn me. Yes, that would make me kill a fucking taxi driver. Yeah, watching the entire season of Duke of Death and his mate.
I'm not okay.
Where is he? Yeah, where is he? Matt, you made me watch this. Turn on Matt. So we get this whole thing, this whole like, what are we doing here? What's going on? He gets the ultimate bid of 100. Like, I was tense, like when he was doing this whole thing where he was like, should I bid? He's coming in, whatever. I was like tense. I was like, oh my god, what's he gonna do? And he bids the 100 against this person, and then his eraser never even came, bro. And I was like, oh no, his dad beats him up, all this stuff. And then he puts all of his energy into this new gotcha game, the zoo game that we saw earlier. And then he sees the same username as the number one. And I'm like, okay, yeah, for sure. And you see his life deteriorate as he's playing the game. As most gotcha gamers can attest to, it's just mess everywhere. Bro. And all your money's gone. He said he spent all of his money, pretty much, 5 million yen or whatever it was. Like, so much money on this game. He gets the dodo, doesn't essentially get the dodo because it didn't save, because he almost got run over.
Not even just gotcha gamers, honestly, like a lot of just modern gaming in general.
Sure.
Just like gotcha gamers, loot pass gamers, etc. Battle
CSGO,
pass gamers. Yeah.
battle
like
pass.
Anything with active live markets, like the gaming landscape post 2010, 12, whatever.
But
yes.
We see him go into despair, and then we get the ending, which again, it's so great. Dobu digs his gun away, which makes sense for him. He was like, I don't want to be caught with this gun. I'm a criminal. I'm going to go dig it in the park somewhere. Fine. Makes sense. I was fine with that. I was like, okay, that makes sense. He goes to bury his bird, bro, and it buries it in the spot, which is fate again, or the universe telling him to do a thing, which is scary as well, like, because it's like, here's the gun.
The world itself might be programmed.
Yes. And he finds the gun, and he's like, oh, I can use this. And even when he was talking, he ran into the street for one of the Homo sapiens. He ran into one of the Homo sapiens. He was talking to him. And I was like, oh, he can get a job with the Homo sapien as a secondary. I was like, oh, imagine if these two characters hit it off, he could be the new, that was like his alternate self. Like, if he was just in a better state, he probably could have gotten a job. But no, he was in this crazed state looking at cars as they passed by. It was so much. Kaylee says, yeah, a lot of games do have microtransactions and stuff now. Hoyo games are surprisingly good for saving, though. HR crashed at the end of a battle yesterday, and when I reopened it, opened at the end of the battle scene. Oh, so Jules, if you pull a 5-star and drop your phone, just know we'll be all okay. Well, I got a new phone, so hopefully I don't do that. Don't wish that into the universe. But this episode was just so good because we saw all the stuff before. We saw the zoo game that had been mentioned before. We find out there's a dodo in it. We find out that the person that sold him the eraser a long time ago was the person at the top of the leaderboard. And then to top it all off, what about the eraser story means anything? What about the eraser story has any pull to the story now?
To the main story? So look at it.
Because
go ahead.
Shirakawa gave Otokawa this goddamn eraser in episode 1. She was like, I don't know, it's
and
like
it's just one of a kind. There's only one in the world, and he's like, well, why do you have it? And she's like, I Well, anyways, so here's this eraser, and she just puts it in his
Bro.
pocket.
And we don't see the payoff until episode 4. That happened in episode 1. That was nothing. That was
Yeah.
nothing to us.
So nothing.
And then it becomes a huge, and then now that I'm thinking about it going forward, does oh wait, what's happening, Kaylee? Fire alarm in my building is going off. Pray for me, I guess. All the prayers. I'm sorry, Kaylee. Don't die, please. But yes, Kaylin said, did we see the eraser? Yes, in the earlier, yes, in episode 1. And then like now in my head, I'm thinking, oh, Otakawa has a way out. He has a way out, but he doesn't know it.
Yep.
He can give this fucking misguided human, Tanaka, this eraser, but he doesn't know the importance of the eraser at all.
Yeah.
So this is good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm talking too much. Tell me.
Everything you're saying. That's where I'm at.
It's all on fucking Charlie with the red string in the back. And then we got this.
Yeah. No, it's like exactly. It's like I was saying before the show started, where we start off in this show. I was very lukewarm versus where we end here at the end of episode 4, where I am just completely sold and on board for what the show's trying to do. And it's like it's the first time it's the furthest jump that I've had from like episode 1 to episode 4, where usually episode 1's pretty promising for me. And it's not that episode 1 wasn't promising, it's just like I didn't know what to really think of it. It was just not a lot actively happening and just listening to a lot. And I'm like, okay, now what are they going to do with all of this? And like that end bit of that end of the first episode with the little swap, like that was really good. But it's just, again, what happens after this? Now, where do we go from here? And the way that episode went here, again, like the whole I'm sunk into my phone, this sunken cost. I put money into the game, then I couldn't stop putting money into the game because I want to chase after that number 1 rank. I want to chase after that dodo because I want the recognition. I want that leaderboard. I want to heal my inner self, yada yada. But that, again, that also ties back to episode 1 in the whole conversation of like going viral in the online world. And episode, go ahead.
It has a lot of commentary on like what drives a human.
Yes.
It has more commentary on what drives a human than other shows where humans are humans, but these are animals that are humans. So is it ultimately the show trying to show us the misguided things that humans can do? I don't know, but it seems like it, right?
I think so.
Far.
I think it's like, look at how far from grace somebody can fall, and look at how obsessed and like deprived somebody can become over something that's effectively a transparent concept.
Yeah.
Because of the way society
because we live in a society.
Because of the way society has become structured and the ways that certain things are like that dopamine drip that it gives to people, and then once you have it, you just want it to keep on coming.
Let me tell you, I started Honkai Star Rail once again last night. I could not stop. I was like, oh boy, I gotta wake up in the morning. But yup, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So we have a few minutes left, but I do want to get your thoughts on a couple things. One, do we ultimately see a meeting between Tanaka and Otakawa, which is sort of a smaller thing I wanted to ask, but what sort of connection do you think Otakawa has to the missing girl? And is the missing girl the one that he's talking to in his house?
That's something where Otakawa's not given me enough.
Sure.
Like he like, and in I don't want to say a good way, but he it's plain and simple. He's not giving me enough to where I understand like his motive or anything. At this point, at the end of episode 4, it seems like the only thing that's driving him is to not allow Miho to like become hurt from him being involved with a gangster.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
And I like the moment where like he's like, oh yeah, okay, so I know what you're when he's in the cab with Dobu, he's like, I know what you're saying, A B C D, and that means X, and Dobu's like, yes. He's like, no,
no, I'm not gonna do
it. What?
Yeah.
It's like what like with a gun in your back, and he's like, "You're not gonna kill me." Like it's the you've now showed me your hand, so if you kill me, you only have things to lose at
Yeah.
the end of the day. And I
So
don't care
so I
about
don't
dying
feel
in the
this.
I don't care about dying in the first place.
Yeah, and I don't feel
I'm
this
probably better
threat.
off dead.
Yeah. And he says that, and it's
Yeah.
like, whoa. So why do you
So
think
like I
he
don't
feels that
know
way? What is he has
from
he done
whatever
something?
from whatever it was that caused his family to not be with him anymore, because that's at this point that's where we get cut off. We got cut off when Miho tried to pry, oh well, what's wrong with your family, like why did your family, he's like, is this a stress test?
Yeah, he was like, no.
I'm sorry.
Um
So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but what do you think is going on, if you have any takes or anything to go on?
I
I'm drawing blanks on
I
that.
mean, it could be the obvious that it is the high school girl that he's taking her in and sort of hiding her away, and like she could stay there forever. She could stay there however long she wants, and he'll take care of her and all this stuff. Which is fine, but then like what does it mean to have this body start the entire show? Like this
Exactly.
feels like this is important, and it could be that, oh
Is it
man,
a body?
the I don't know. We don't know. It's
What
held
if
down by
next
cinder
episode that
blocks.
like there's a what if next episode there's like a crane in the bay, and the crane pulls the thing out, and they're like, "Oh, look, we might have and then they unravel it, and it's just like a bunch of potatoes.
In this anime, it could be,
Yeah.
and it could happen, and I wouldn't be like surprised by it. I'd be like, oh, okay.
And then the
I
episode after that, we get a whole thing as to why Dobu accidentally swapped up the person he was supposed to kidnap and dump in the bay with a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, it could. I mean,
Now I'm
that
just throwing shit out
yeah,
there.
that could be
But
wild. But like, I think another route, which could be far fetched for sure, is that somehow Otakawa is going crazy because he doesn't have enough sleep. He's
oh,
not getting enough sleep.
that
That
has to come
little
into it for some
that
reason.
that little nugget there where he's like, I just need more things to help me sleep.
I
I
keep
need more.
forgetting about
Like,
that.
what is that? Because we had the eraser in the first episode. I
Yeah.
feel like everything's important. I
Yeah.
think there's something
And
to him,
that him getting the bigger subscription and him talking about how he needs to sleep coincides with the same scene where that eraser comes up. So
but there
now,
also is medicine gone, which we
yeah,
don't know yet. I think there's something to. I think Kaylin had mentioned when we were
yeah, who
watching that
stole the drugs? Yeah.
Shirakawa, uh, yeah, who stole the drugs? I think Kaylin had mentioned as well about Shirakawa not her intentions all not being clear. There is like, why would she take so much interest in Otakawa? What is
Yeah.
this about? Is that
Also, like,
so wild?
I'm pretty sure we see a scene in the first episode where Dobu is talking to somebody, and with the fact that Otakawa says that she's the only alpaca in the city, we see him talking to somebody, and it's over the shoulder of somebody else who looks like Miho. And she's
So
got like all the,
she getting paid off to get more information from Otakawa? I think there's something to that. There's something that I,
did he
in my head
know?
canon.
Did Dobu know that Otakawa wouldn't be receptive to being threatened under
Normal,
threatened of violence? So he made Miho get close to him, so that way he would have something to
something on
threaten
him.
him.
Mhm. Maybe that could be something.
They
Uh,
show us that something's happening there. There's implications.
I kind of like this far fetched thing where Otakawa is going crazy and something is made up. He's talking to himself,
Something's going
really.
on with the sleep for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe like a character. You know what would be quite wild is if a character that we've seen isn't there, and it's just been Otakawa talking to himself at some point in the taxi cab. I don't know. That's wild. The wildest thing I could think of is him imagining one of the characters we know already and it just coming out. Maybe I'm setting my sights too high, but it is something. And we would love to know your thoughts, your theories, and stuff. If you haven't seen this anime before, if you have seen it, please no spoilers. But I know we have a
Put a
lot of
sock in it.
people. Yeah, stop it. I know a lot of people watch on YouTube and a lot of people listen on Spotify. So let us know your thoughts about Odd Taxi, or whether you like the anime or whether you don't, or what you're excited about. But we got to get going because the anime hour is getting close to a close. So Matt, where can they find you on the internets?
If you'd like, you could follow me on my Twitch at Matt_Galley, where I stream when I stream. And then you can also find me on all my socials, just at an ITS at ITS. It's Matt_Galley. When outside of the anime hours, where can the people find you?
Jules the Human on everything. JULES the Human on all social media. I'm posting on TikTok again. Some Baldur Gate interesting stuff's going on, so go check out my clips. Also on the YouTube channel, there's some clips over there as well. But you can also get all of the anime hours on my YouTube channel as well. YouTube.com/JulesTheHuman, JULES the Human. YouTube.com there, and you can get all the old ones that we've already been through, all the other ones that we've already ranked and talked about. And if you would like to watch real time live, usually on Thursdays, but on Friday today, so join the Discord's in all the links, and that's when you know the most recent updates on when we're going to do the show. But to watch it live and submit 500 bits, and you can add an anime if you want us to watch one of your favorite animes or talk about one of your favorite animes, go ahead,
Or
and
one of your least favorite.
or one of your least favorite,
Let's look it up.
500 bits on the Twitch lives, and you can do that there. But thank you so much for watching. And next week we're going to be watching episode 5 through 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5 episodes by next week. We're going to fit 5 Odd Taxi episodes into next week's anime hour, so watch those before then, and we would love for you to come back and watch it with us, because this is our first time watching. We're theorizing, we're talking about it, and we would love your theories as well. So we'll see you next week.
Bye.